Michelle's work's very much part of a long tradition, linking back to artists like Howard Arkley, and in her role as, I'd call her an urban flaneur, somebody who walks the cities, Michelle sees irony and dark humour and, in some cases, impending doom. These aren't pretty works, but Michelle's work's much more than that, and she's a very difficult artist to pigeonhole. And for me, it's the toughness of the images taken through the camera, juxtaposed with the stitched quality of the tapestry that makes these works so utterly compelling and intriguing. And we don't quite know how to describe the works. Are they sort of stitched photographs, or are they needlepoint paintings? They're really in a class of their own.
This series of work came out of an amazing opportunity that I got from a grant from the Australia Council to go to the US in 2011. I came back with 2,500 photographs, and they're the moments, they're the in-between moments that we take as being part of our everyday. And
so Michelle's work in some ways is a kind of capture of what the US is kind of going through.
Economic situation in the US is quite dire, political situation as well. At the moment this week, and I think the questions that the work brings up in terms of urbanism in that context are really interesting, especially under this title or banner of mixed messages.
She shares this same imperative, which is to show something about the vernacular of place and how it informs us. And how she does that is by focusing on and by journeying in and around a specific place. A kind of a documentary approach or a sense of map making that reveals a very kind of human narrative. She kind of turns her observations into kind of revelations, and it's sort of like a field work where she amasses this body of evidence and she sifts through it and sorts it and puts together a sort of hypothesis about our kind of psychological condition or the state of urban character. They describe it as something that encourages a kind of a soft pulling into focus, and I think unlike the clarity which you achieve with a photograph, with tapestry you get this rich surface material and you get these stepped lines which kind of confer a pixelated view.
As Isabel points out in her catalogue essay, they also have an appearance of the pixelated, which is reflecting the original photograph. And with a society that's obsessed with the digital, the now, the modern and the right now, it's nice to see a mixture of the handmade and the digital image come together.
The graphic message and the spatial message contradicting each other. Yeah, there is this quantity of images, the quickness of images, and then that contrasts very strongly with the slowness of the medium, because it is slow, and that does bring up that contrast of the digital and the kind of analog, I guess, more overtly.
Some of that other stuff that gets in the way that becomes part of the image.
The stuff of the streets.
Right.
These are works of a standard that merit inclusion in many of our collections in Australia, both public and private.